And get ready to dive into the heart of local sports action. Broadcasting live from the heartland of Missouri, welcome to the SEMO Scramble on SEMO ESPN. It's now time to catch up on the latest local highlights, in-depth analysis, and interviews from the Boot Heel and beyond. Here's your host, Rusty Hendricks.
Good Saturday morning to you. It's the SEMO Scramble here on SEMO ESPN Radio. That is 1220 AM, 93.5 FM, and online at SEMOESPN.com. Glad to have you with us. Happy Saturday to you. Happy Father's Day weekend to all those fathers out there. Happy Father's Day to my dad as well. Going to spend a little time on Sunday with him, so excited for that. Should be a fun weekend. Pretty good weather today. A lot going on. So have some good interviews today. Going to hang out with Hayden Nazarenus. He plays for the Cape Catfish this summer. We're going to try to get connected with him. And new SEMO signee. So excited for that. Jake Wood. He's a writer, podcast host for Viva El Birdos. We'll chat with him coming up at around 9:30 to talk some Cardinals. Tough loss, once again, last night to the Kansas City Royals, so we'll break that down. But there was some news over the last couple of days, some heartbreaking news, and that is the legendary coach Gene Bess there at Three Rivers passes away, and at the age of 91, the all-time winningest coach in college basketball, 1,300 wins in his career. I was just looking this up a little. I didn't know this. He apparently was born in Oak Ridge, Missouri. So thoughts and prayers go out to the Bess family. And I tell you what, crazy that legendary Coach Gene Bess, in our area, been at our doorstep, and many, many players that he was able to be a part of, to help and mentor and just help them along their way and their journey, and so many great basketball players that have gone through his program. And one of those players we have on the phone line right now, and current Notre Dame Bulldogs assistant coach, that is Cory Johnson. He played for Three Rivers, played at SEMO, and Cory Johnson joins us now here on the show. Cory, how we doing?
Good, Rusty, man. Thanks for having me on.
Thanks for taking the time to join. It was very last minute, but hey, we got you on. I know that you're traveling with your daughter to a softball tournament, but I just wanted to get just a few minutes. I'm sure when you heard the news, it was disappointing when Gene Bess passed away, and but man, just the lives that he was able to touch, and I just hope that you could speak just for a couple of minutes on what Gene Bess meant to you.
Yeah, absolutely. I found out last week, that he had been sick and been in the hospital, and things weren't looking good. So, got the message early. We've got a group of guys, obviously that I played with before and after me. Guys like Chad Allen and Mark Keeney and Brock Littles, guys like that. We keep in constant contact with the group text thread, and that was the first thing in the morning. Everybody was talking a little bit, sharing some stories, and it was one of those things you don't know how you're going to take something like that, and until it hits you. And it was definitely a sad day. He touched a lot of lives and molded so many of us into what we are today, and instilled so many good traits in all of us. Punctuality and discipline, and just he was such a man of deep faith. He just was a pleasure of a man to be around, not just a great coach. I think people see that and hear Gene Bess and think of how great a coach he was, but he was such a great man and such a great family man, and cared deeply for his family and all his players. Thousands of players. 50+ years of coaching, and you read some numbers off there, 1,300 wins and just a couple hundred losses there. So, the lives he touched over those 50 years, and they've just been, heard so many stories in the last day and a half of that, it's amazing to see and read and really neat. It's a proud feeling that I got a chance to spend those 2 years at Three Rivers and play for him. Such a legend of a coach and have the successes we had. It was an honor to be there. And like I said, it's a sad day, not just for, guys that played with him, shoot that community in Poplar Bluff. He's been instilled in that community for years.
Yeah.
And like I said, he's done a lot for not only the program, but for that community over there and back in general.
Is there a story, or is there just a couple of things when you think of Gene Bess to really epitomize him and what he meant to you? Are there a few words that you would take to describe him, or is there maybe a story that you can tell that makes sense as far as, okay, this is the type of person that Gene Bess was?
I think there's so many. Gosh, I could sit on here for hours and talk about the stories. But just the way he treated everybody. He treated everybody exactly the same, and I'm talking about the player side of things. Didn't matter if you were the best player, didn't matter if you were the worst player or where you were from. He had the chance to coach a guy like Latrell Sprewell that got to play in the NBA and so many great names like that. When you heard all the stories from, hey, if he didn't do this the right way, it didn't matter who he was. It didn't matter he was Latrell Sprewell. He got he got disciplined just like anybody else. And I think that's a lot of who he was in his life, which is he treated everybody exactly the same. He was such a gracious person. And going into the coaching side of things, punctuality, I would think it was kind of a funny story with him is the way he would, our bus never left at 2:00. It never left at 2:30. Our bus left at 2:17. And it was make sure you're there. 2:17. If you weren't on the bus by 2:17, he'd leave you. And again, it didn't matter if you were the best or the worst player. He would leave you if you weren't there at 2:17. So, just some little things like that, I think. But again, the main thing, just the way he treated people. Even when you went back after you played for him for 2 years, he give you a big hug and ask you how you're doing, ask you how your family is, whatever the case. But always visiting, always had an open door for you. And again, I think that's the main thing. And I think a lot of people, have heard these stories again the last few days, and that's what they talk about, just how great a person he was and how he treated people.
All right. Well, Cory, really appreciate you taking a few minutes out of your day to talk to us about the legendary coach and Gene Bess, and surely he will be missed. Thank you so much.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me, Rusty. We'll see
Thanks,
you, buddy.
Cory. Take care. All right. That is Cory Johnson, again, former player for Gene Bess for a couple of years. Then he went on to play at SEMO, then now coaching for Notre Dame basketball. So, again, legendary coach Gene Bess passes away June the 19th, age of 91. So other things going on this weekend, and yesterday we had the World Cup. Yeah, the World Cup happening, and the USA playing against Australia, and they get a win. 2-0. They get the victory. That's now, they're won 2 games in their pool. They're playing pretty well. Their defense has been great. That Lugan has been really good for them. And they're starting to, I think, believe in themselves a little bit. Chris Richards, one of the defenders, talking about how some talking heads are talking, hey, maybe USA can actually make a run and win this. When a lot of people are coming into this tournament, the FIFA World Cup, saying, yeah, USA, they could, win a few games, but they're not going to win it. And now people are starting to believe, including Richards. He says, look, I quote, I don't think it's ridiculous to say that we want to win it. We want to lift the trophy by the end of this. So they're determined. They're playing well. They have some confidence. And I think the biggest thing, they're playing in front of their home crowd. They were in Seattle, and then the crowd was electric. Packed house. I've been I've been touching base and watching here and there. I haven't totally been plugged in yet, but to see the crowds, Kansas City and Seattle and some of these different places, that's been good to see, is that, the country is getting into this and enjoying it as well. And look, there's other, other countries that have made their way here to the United States and also been a part of it. But man, to see that is pretty cool. And the pride coming out of the USA, that is always spoke to me, and hope that can continue. And again, I hope that the USA can continue to play well to where, hey, we find themselves getting to the later stages and making a run. So we'll see. Don't know what'll happen, but hey, we'll see. We'll see what happens. Later on today as well, College World Series. So if you're watching online, okay, I have my College World Series hat, CWS, okay, College World Series hat. I haven't been there. I want to, but I got that hat this has been probably 5-6 years ago. So wearing it today in honor of the College World Series. I think it'll be a fun series. Oklahoma, North Carolina. Carolina opening up at 180 favorites, minus 180 favorites. And I do like North Carolina in this. I think with their pitching has been outstanding. They have solid defense. Gallagher, their second baseman, has won a Gold Glove this year for them. Came out with that this past week. And they have some studs on offense. So originally the game was going to be tonight, later, because of weather out there. And, the Plains had to move it up to a 2 p.m. start today. I'm excited for that because, hey, there's no Cardinal game. No Cardinal game today, which is awkward, weird. It's a Saturday. We don't have a Cardinal game. So, yeah, we'll be tuning in to the College Baseball World Series for that. North Carolina and Oklahoma. I think that'll be a fun series. So, Saturday today, 2 p.m. On Father's Day tomorrow, a 1:30 start. And then, again, if needed, they'll have it on Monday night, 6 p.m. For the Game 3. So, Game 3 if necessary. So, excited for that. Some great storylines, of course, with Oklahoma, the brothers playing with each other. Again, North Carolina, the run that they've been on, one of the top teams in the country all year. So, yeah, I think that'll be a fun final. Excited for that. Get another game that went on last night. Disappointing one. In the Prospect League, the Cape Catfish taking on the Thrillville Thrillbillies out of Marion, and just not a great pitching night for the Fish. Things went awry, and then it went backwards in a hurry. They ended up losing that game 16-4, the final. 16-4 last night. So dropping that one. Or the Catfish 15-4. There we go. 15-4 the final last night. So they're still in first place, a game and a half above the Rockabillys, with about 6 games left in the first half, meaning, if they can clinch or have the lead in the division within the next 6 games, they will clinch a playoff spot. So an important run here over the next week for the Catfish. Need to get something going there on the positive end as well. All right. Want to talk a little Cardinal baseball? We'll do it. Coming up next, so stay with us. Talking some Cardinals over the next couple of segments. I want to give my thoughts about a few different things and see if you agree with me on, does the pitching need to shake up? Is it time for Joshua Baez to come up to the bigs? We'll talk about it. Stay with us. SEMO Scramble continues next right here on SEMO ESPN.
Ball right side, throw for a base hit just past the glove of Massey. Ivan Herrera drives home Church. 2-0 St. Louis.
Well, it was a good start to the game last night. The Cardinals, if you were able to watch it, it was on Apple TV last night. got out to a 2-0 lead. Ivan Herrera with a base hit there that scored Church. So up 2-0, but McGreevy wasn't his best start last night. He's been really good, though, for the Cardinals this year. But McGreevy went 5 innings, gave up 5 runs, 8 hits. And that 4th inning was an issue for him. Gave up the 4 runs in the 4th, another run there in the 5th. So he's able to get through the 5th, but again, kind of that second, third time around in the lineup started to give him some trouble. But still, 3.35 ERA, even with the 5 runs given up this year for McGreevy. 5 runs given up in that start, rather, for McGreevy. Soriano gave up a run in the 6th inning. So at the time, it was a 6-2 game. But, the Cardinals came back, made it interesting late. Blaze Jordan in the 9th with 2 outs, 2 runners on to make it, again, interesting.
The other way, in the air, tough play, base hits! 2 runs will come home. Blaze Jordan with a 2-out single in the 9th, and the Cardinals are within 1.
Within 1, a 6-5 game after the 2 RBI hit by Blaze Jordan, but it was all for naught as Kansas City able to get the win, and they have already won the series. For, again, off day today. Why? I don't know. I don't like it. Off day on Saturday. They'll play on Sunday, Father's Day, to close out the series. That it's a 1-10 start. Then they'll head back home for a nice series. They'll have 4 games Monday through Thursday against the Diamondbacks and then 3 against the Marlins before they go back on the road. And that's when they start to play a tough stretch of baseball. Diamondbacks aren't a bad team, neither are the Marlins. So really after this, with the Padres, the Royals, you start getting some tougher opponents. So, you get the Braves, the Cubs, the Brewers, the Braves again. That's before the All-Star break. So, again, this is an important stretch for the St. Louis Cardinals, and it could be a little bit of a separator as far as, okay, what can this team be this year? Okay, what is this team? You think about, it's talked about all the time about Flag Day, which we passed that was on the 14th of the month. Okay, what's the record by Flag Day? Then that can help determine how this team's going to be. There's some validity to that. As you look at the standings right now, the Cardinals 5.5 back in the division. They're second. The Cubs are on the heels at 6.5, the Pirates and the Reds. In the wild card, though, the Cardinals still are at the top wild card spot, ahead of the Phillies, ahead of the Cubs. So still hanging strong there for the moment. I think they need to grab that final game against Kansas City on Sunday. But Cardinals, there's some leaks right now with their starting pitching. So can we get some help there? So again, McGreevy last night, he's not been the problem. I think he's been one of their best pitchers. We've seen what Dustin May's been able to do of late. He's been really good. I mean, there's been a couple of starts this year where he has taken, perfect game no-hitters into the 7th, 8th inning. And then you think about what Andre Pallante has been. I'll be honest, I didn't have the faith in Pallante to think that. I mean, I thought, okay, this is a 5-starter. That's about as good as he's going to give you. He's going to have a 4 ERA plus. The last year, I just didn't have the faith in him. Now, there's some news on Pallante that came out talking about how he had struggles a little bit with his arm last year with getting ready and getting pumped up, or not getting pumped up rather, but getting geared up, I guess you could say, and had some issues with that in spring, never got fully into it, and then that kind of led into middle of the season, kind of some dead arm type period, and he wasn't throwing with the same velocity and confidence and things of that nature. This year it's been much better, had a better off season, trained, built up that arm strength a little bit more, the velocity a couple ticks higher, and he's throwing with more movement on his pitches, and that's where he has his success. Ball moving around, sinking, dying. really causing some weak contact. He's not a strikeout guy, and that's what he's been doing this year. So Palante has been good, and honestly, you can say, okay, probably is at least a 4 as the way he's been pitching in a rotation. But the two guys that have struggled, and that has been Kyle Leahy and Matthew Liberatore. Neither guy is giving you length. I mean, 5 and dive type guys, if that. As you look at Kyle Leahy this year, 5-4 with a 4.64 ERA in 70 innings, 59 strikeouts in 70 innings, a 1.57 whip. You look at Matthew Liberatore, had a terrible start on Thursday night. Terrible. His worst of the year, maybe the Cardinals' worst start of the year. He's 3-4 with a 5.23 ERA, 72 innings. So you look at the last 7 games for Matthew Liberatore. Okay, he has 7 starts. Last 7 games, 7 starts. 1-3 with a 6.82 ERA. Awful. Absolutely awful. His fastball is getting pounded right now. He's not landing some of his breaking stuff. I mean, his only out pitch right now is the curveball, which he's getting some strikeouts. He's got 38 Ks, but it's not enough to have consistent weak contact. Kyle Leahy over the past 7 games. Not awful, but not great. 4.33. He's not giving you length. There's 35 innings over the past 7 games. That's it. 13 walks, 32 strikeouts. So if you combine the two guys, okay, so 14 starts, the last 7 games for each, okay? So you're talking 62 innings between these two pitchers. You're 3-5 as a team in those starts with a collective 5.52 ERA. So my question is it time to make a change? Is it time to look at some other guys in the starting rotation? Now, keep in mind, part of the scenario in question is, like with anything, what kind of season are we in? Well, this is a retooling, rebuilding, kind of reassessing type of season. Okay, keep that in mind. It's not like the last couple of years where you're still trying to compete. You have guys like Eric Fetty, and you have guys like Miles Michaelis, which at least they were eating innings. Maybe it was not very good innings, but at least they were eating innings. But you still, I mean, you're trying to find out what Liberatore and Leahy is. But Liberatore's had an opportunity for a little bit now. Leahy in his second season, kind of as a starter. So both of those guys, though, we have seen have success in the bullpen. And I guess that leads me to my next thing is this is an important stretch. I think the Cardinals win. Hunter Dobbins right now, you have down there, you have Quinn Matthews. I would like to see them pull the trigger on having some spot starts. I'm not saying completely remove these guys from the rotation, but I think maybe they need to skip a turn in the rotation, work on some things, especially Liberatore. That would be my suggestion. Liberatore, skip a turn. You get a Dobbins up there. You get a Quinn Matthews, get a start. Okay? And then for Leahy, I think he's just a guy that I've seen enough to where I think he's more suited for the bullpen. You get that third time through the lineup, that's where he really struggles. So that would be my suggestion. Now, if you wanted to wait till the All-Star break, I could see that. I could understand that if you wanted to wait. But, again, I would get some spot starts. But, again, Dobbins right now, because he was sent down the last time, you have to wait the 15 days. So when he's ready, get him back up there. Okay? That would be my suggestion. So Hunter Dobbins, what he has done so far this year, he had a clunker in his last start, but you look at what he's done in the minors. Over the month of June, he has 3 starts and a 1.88 ERA. That's what he's done at Memphis, a 1.88 ERA, Hunter Dobbins. He's been pitching well. Quinn Matthews, in the month of June, 3 starts, a 1.59 ERA. He had a little bit of a tough start to the season, but he's figured some things out, and he is pitching much, much better. Quinn Matthews. So those two guys, I would think about getting some spot starts, putting those in there when the time is right here. How about Joshua Baez? Real quick before we take a break and talk things over with Jake Wood here in a couple minutes. Joshua Baez, just unbelievable what he's been doing. 24 home runs, 61 RBIs, and a 276 average. Are you kidding me? Joshua Baez, unbelievable what he's been doing. In the month of June, he's batting .367. He has 22 RBIs and 8 home runs in the month of June. That's in, 17 games? No, hang on. How many games is that? Well, not quite. It is double-digit games. But nonetheless, Joshua Baez, my goodness, 8 home runs, 22 RBIs, .367 average. Now, for Baez, a little bit more complicated. Where do you put him? I know some people say center field. Okay. I mean, maybe you take the Nelson Velasquez spot. Okay. But here's the thing. If you bring him up, he's got to play every day. I'm not bringing him up to be a platoon guy. So I will say on Baez, I would understand waiting on him. And to me, the most likely outcome would be, honestly, and it stinks, but waiting until the trade deadline. And then you trade Lars Nootbaar. That opens up the spot in left field for Joshua Baez. That would be what I could see. Now, if the Cardinals brought him up tomorrow, okay, I'm gonna be happy about it because I want to see what he can do. But he's been killing it. He deserves it. But it wouldn't be the worst thing to get some more seasoning. We've seen it with guys like Gorman and Walker, what they were able to do in the minors, killing it up. We saw even before that with Dylan Carlson. It's okay, even though they're hitting well right now, it's okay to let them have a little bit more seasoning. It's okay. The reasoning for Blaze Jordan and the reasoning for some of these other guys that have been brought up, Jimmy Crooks, well, it's because there was a need of the position. There's not necessarily that need right now in the outfield. So, again, I'm okay with the Cardinals waiting as much as I want him to come up. But it's okay. I think that's the right decision for them to take, for them to hold on right now. So that would be my take. What does Jake Wood say? We'll ask them about that coming up next. Jake Wood of Viva El Birdos. Stay with us. SEMO Scramble on SEMO ESPN. We'll be right back. Welcome back in. SEMO Scramble here on SEMO ESPN Radio, 1220 AM, 93.5 FM, and online, SEMOESPN.com. And happy to be joined now on our phone line is Jake Wood. He's a writer, podcast host for Viva El Birdos, and covering the St. Louis Cardinals, and he's been plugged in. First time having him on the show, so glad to have Jake with us. How we doing, man?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me, Rusty, and it's great to be talking to the great people of Cape Girardeau, Missouri.
Yeah, appreciate it. Thanks for giving us a little time this morning. So, look, I know it wasn't a fun one, but I guess we'll talk about it a little bit. Last night against the Royals, just things, once again, just kind of didn't go the Cardinals' way. What was your immediate reaction from last night after falling to the Royals in back-to-back games?
Yeah, holy cow, those Royals can really pick it out there, can't they? I mean, it just seemed like every ball that was put in play, somebody was getting a hit robbed from them. You know, I thought the Cardinals managed to string together some really good at-bats. They worked some counts, they put the ball in play, but unfortunately it seemed like, what's the saying, that 2/3 of the earth is covered by water, the last third is now covered by the Royals defense. I mean, holy cow.
They can defend a little bit for sure, but I mean, look, the Cardinals, I like some of their moves that they have made over the past month where they have added some guys from the minors, getting some other bats and lengthening that lineup, because that was a huge issue, talking point over, 3 weeks ago, where the 5 through 9 batters were struggling. So there is some good things there, but there's still, I guess you could say, some holes here or there. But, really, for the Cardinals, when they have success, it starts with their starting pitching. And Micah McGreevy has been one of their better starters this year, but it wasn't necessarily the best start for him last night.
Yeah, no, unfortunately, with Michael McGreevy, his profile is all about balls in play. And, from time to time, you're just going to have those rough outings where, hits find their lanes and they get down, and it just, that's why in modern baseball, having the ability to get some chase, to get some swing and miss when you really need it at certain points is valuable. And, early in the season, like you alluded to with Michael McGreevy, he's having a really good start to the year. That changeup was doing a lot of the heavy lifting with getting that swing and miss, and it just seems like he just wasn't able to quite get just enough chase to get guys off the barrel last night. But for the most part, overall, when you look at Michael McGreevy, it's been a really solid start, and it's very hard to find areas where you can really complain about.
Yeah, I mean, you think of McGreevy, you think of Dustin May, and even Andre Palante. I think, collectively and then overall, yeah, they've had some clunkers in there, here and there, but I think for the most part, you have to be pretty satisfied with those three. It's the other two starters that I think has been a little bit of a disappointment. That's Matthew Liberatore, that's Kyle Leahy. And, I was talking about it earlier in my previous segment. Okay, is it time for a shakeup for this starting rotation? And those would be the two guys you would talk about, okay, maybe exiting. Combined over the last 62 innings, okay? So 7 starts each for these two guys, 14 combined. They have a 5.52 ERA, those two guys. Now, Liberatore is really carrying the weight there. He's had a 6.82 ERA. So I don't know. I'll say this on the front side. I don't think the Cardinals are going to remove Liberatore from the rotation. I think he's going to be there. They are pretty set, I think, in their ways on that, at least for the time being. Leahy, I don't really expect him to leave as of now. I think as we progress in maybe a few weeks, things continue, the next couple starts continue to be this way, I think then they could maybe make that decision. But as for you, if you were to make a decision right now, do you think this rotation, and in those two in particular, need a shakeup or just need a change?
Yeah, when you talk about Matthew Liberatore and Kyle Leahy, obviously those are the two that I think that most Cardinals fans are really, leaning into in terms of the rotation. And then you look down on the farm and you see guys like Hunter Dobbins and Quinn Matthews are doing some really good things down at AAA. And so you can understand the justification by saying, look, when Chaim Bloom came in and took over, the emphasis was going to be on the long term always. That doesn't mean they were going to sacrifice short term, but long term focus is always. And so if the Cardinals wanted to swap those guys out or put them in the bullpen, like Leahy and Liberatore specifically, and moved into the bullpen, and then put Hunter Dobbins and Quinn Matthews in the rotation and give them some opportunities, you can understand how that follows along that thought process that Chaim Bloom talked about. But I don't think that they're going to do that just yet. I think they're trying as best they can to not be overly reactionary to some of the things they're seeing. I'll remind listeners that Kyle Leahy did have a quality start in his last start against San Diego. It just so happened that the offense could not manage to score any runs for him. I did some digging on this, and I looked at the starting rotation as a whole since May 19th. You referenced some numbers, and here at Viva El Birdos, that's essentially what we do as we talk about the numbers.
Yeah.
Over the last 27 games, not including last night, they're 13th in innings pitched, 141 and 2/3 innings. They have a 4.45 ERA, which is good for about 14th in the majors. So you combine both Dustin May's great outings plus the clunkers that we've seen from the rest of the rotation, and you kind of wind up in the middle of the pack still because you have your haves and have-nots. And then the Cardinals also have a 3.80 fielding independent pitching, which is another metric that we kind of use to look at to kind of take some of the fluke defensive plays out of that. And then the Cardinals are also first in baseball over that stretch in terms of ground ball percentage at 47.2%. Something surprising that I found, they had a 23.4 strikeout percentage, which is 6th in MLB over that course of time. 5.8 walk percentage, which is 3rd in MLB over that stretch of time. So they're doing a lot of really good things from an individual at-bat to at-bat process, but it just seems like there's one individual inning here or there that's really killing these guys. And manager Ollie Marmol, after Leahy's last start, I'll reference Brendan Schaefer, who does a great job for MLB.com. Ollie kind of talked to him about this, and they kind of are doubling down and saying, look, nothing that Leahy is doing this year is unexpected. We expect ups and downs from him as he transitions to this role. And so I think the Cardinals are going to continue to ride it out with Kyle Leahy in the rotation. Just like you mentioned, I think that Matthew Liberatore is going to continue to get an extended run. But make no mistake about it, the Cardinals are acquiring arms in bunches, and there is reinforcements coming in the near future. So these guys, like you saw with Nolan Gorman, with Victor Scott, with Pedro Pajes, if you are not performing, this front office is not afraid to make changes if you are not performing in your role.
Yeah, I agree with you, and I guess my thing would be right now, I wouldn't say, hey, it's time to completely remove these two from the rotation. My argument would be, can we give him a start or two off? Can we, insert Hunter Dobbins, give him a start for Liberatore, and let Liberatore work on the side a couple of times and kind of revamp? Because right now he is getting absolutely mauled with his fastball. That would be my argument, but I totally agree that, the Cardinals are going to stick to the plan for the time being, and I think that is the right plan because you got to find out what these guys are and what you believe in them, and they've got to be able to work through some adversity. So I agree with those things as well. Another, I guess, talking point, Jake, is again talking things over with Jake Wood, writer and podcast host for Viva El Birdos, and you've wrote about it as well, and a guy in Joshua Baez. So he has been absolutely killing it in Memphis, and Cardinals fans, including myself, clamoring for Joshua Baez to see what his profile can be. Just having an absolute monster season, especially over the past month. 8 home runs, 22 RBIs in the month of June with a 367 average. Yeah, that'll play. So Joshua Baez has been really good. But is it time for him to be brought up? And where would you put him? So that would be my question to you. On the Joshua Baez conversation, where do you stand?
So, to give listeners a little bit of context, when he had that 4 home run game, I was, of course, a little reactionary, but how could you not whenever he hits 4 home runs in a game? Now that I've had a little bit of time since then to marinate on it, I think where I'm at, I'm leaning a little bit more towards the end of August for Josh Baez. Yeah. I think of him similar to the time frame that Mason Wynn was able to experience, where Baez will still be able to maintain rookie eligibility into the following season.
It's a good point.
Again, referencing when Chaim Bloom took over the Cardinals, he re-emphasized this draft and develop model. And, if similar to this season with J.J. Weatherholt, if they could have their cake and eat it too by getting Baez up for a September push and allow him the chance to compete for Rookie of the Year next year, and that allows them to earn that additional PPI pick, then that's probably the route that they would value most. Look at Josh Baez. He's putting up an incredible display of power at AAA, and the raw power is one of the most seductive things in sports, I think. I think back to the 90s commercial with Greg Maddux and Tom Glavine. They were watching, Mark McGwire hit home runs during BP and proclaim chicks dig the long ball. So, when you hit 4 home runs in one game, what exactly do you expect fans to do besides fall all over themselves to urge at the behest of the organization to promote the player? But when you look at under the hood, you realize there are still elements to Josh Baez's offensive game that probably require a little more seasoning.
Yeah, I agree with you as much as it pains me to say, and you made a good point about the rookie eligibility part as well, but what's it going to hurt for him to continue to mash, continue to do that, man? And look, again, I would love to have him up, but right now with Church and Walker, the way that he's been playing, look, if Newbar still wasn't ready, if Walker, had a Gorman-type season, then I'd be like, okay, yeah. Get him up here, but that's not the case. So I'm with you. As much as it pains me, I think the right decision is to let him marinate. I would like to see the Cardinals at the trade deadline look to shop Lars Nootbaar. I know some fans would not like that. To me, I think that would be the right decision because if he can continue to do that, that would be my way of handling it. But we'll see what the Cardinals do. But again, I wanted to talk about this real quick as, again, Jake Wood of Viva El Birdos is joining us. You talk about the trade deadline a little ways away, right? The All-Star break coming up here next month. This is an important stretch for the Cardinals. As you have the Diamondbacks and the Marlins, then you have the Braves and the Brewers, the Braves again. There's some pretty tough opponents coming up for the St. Louis Cardinals. You'd have liked for the Cardinals to take care of business against teams like the Padres and the Royals, which they haven't done. So this is a type of stretch, Jake, where this can help decide what you're going to do for the trade deadline. How important is this stretch, in your opinion, for the St. Louis Cardinals and what that can help them as far as their focus and goals going forward for the rest of the year?
I think they came into the season with a certain expectation of how the season was likely to go, and therefore they had kind of mapped out how they thought that they were going to approach this year's trade deadline. Now, obviously, I think they've overperformed expectations. I think it's pretty fair to say that, not really, breaking any headlines there. I think that for the Cardinals specifically, this next upcoming stretch is going to be really big, of course. It's the big, I think it's, they say it's the biggest stretch until the next one comes up, right? So, you're just continuously looking forward until the next big stretch. And you have to keep proving it over and over again. That's the great thing about baseball and the 162-game schedules. The teams that make it to October truly earn their way in. I understand this is getting off on a side tangent, but those who hate the third wild card, but the teams that make it into the playoffs are still having to go through that grind of a season to make it in. Is it a little bit easier? Sure, but they still have to earn their way in just like everybody else. For me, I think that, looking at the Cubs, the Braves twice, the Brewers, that's just another opportunity for the Cardinals, this young group, to prove themselves that they continue to belong. And, I've been a little bit worried recently that maybe they're not playing as loose and free as they were in the early portion of the season, because now that they've had this success, maybe they're starting to feel a little bit of the pressure of the expectations starting to be lopped back on them. And that, this will be a good stretch to kind of see now that everyone is in the middle of the season. There's no longer that early season qualifier where, it's still early. No, if guys are settled in, they're in mid-season form. It's time to show what you can do and what you're made of. So I think that, this stretch over the next 2 to 3 weeks leading into the All-Star break is going to be really telling for just where this Cardinals team stands, especially as you look towards the trade deadline.
Yep, totally agree. That is Jake Wood of Viva El Birdos. And look, as fans, we've got to revert back. Okay, what are my expectations? What are the reasonable expectations I should be having right now? What's the plan? We always got to kind of remember that in the back of our mind. Sometimes we get out of our skis a little bit. So as fans, it's sometimes better to be humbled every now and then. Okay, settle down, let it play out. So
absolutely,
yeah. So Jake, man, I really appreciate you doing this morning. Great work, and we'll continue to follow what you got going on at Viva El Birdos. You have anything in the works? Anything we can be looking forward to before you go?
Rusty, I've got plenty in the works. I've got some very exciting guests, some very exciting VIP guests that are Cardinals organization related. I can't quite give those details away yet, but
sure.
If you don't follow the Viva El Birdos podcast already, make sure you do so, because we've got some really exciting content on your way. We're thrilled to be able to partner with the Cardinals in some of these things, and I would say make sure you lock into that as soon as possible.
And give us that website.
That is at vivaelbirdos.com. You can find all of the Viva El Birdos podcast. I post it there every Monday around 2 p.m., but it releases Mondays 6 a.m. You can find that on all of your streaming platforms. You can follow us on Spotify, at Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio Podcasts, just about anywhere you get your podcast or your favorite streaming platform. You can find us. Just type in Viva El Birdos. If you also need to type in my name, Jake Wood, because we've had older iterations from different users in the past, but that would be the easiest way to find us.
Absolutely. Jake, appreciate the time this morning. Take care.
Absolutely. You as well, Rusty. Thanks for having me.
All right. Jake Wood of Viva El Birdos joining us here this morning on the SEMO Scramble. All right. We're going to talk with Hayden Nazarenus coming up next. Before I do that, I just want to mention this real quick. I got to keep an eye on if the one thing you're looking at the trade deadline for the Cardinals, again, that's a ways away. And are they buyers right now? I would say yes. I'm not going to go all in, but yes, I would say buyers on the edges. Starting pitching would be the how I would try to help this team, because I think Liberatore and Leahy could help booster your bullpen, push them in there. One guy to keep an eye on, Casey Mize of the Detroit Tigers. They're in sell mode. Now, everybody's going to be going after Scooble. Casey Mize, 2.58 ERA this year. Right now, his contract 1 year, $6.15 million. He re-signed in January to avoid arbitration. So an ARB guy, $6.15 million, and a 2.58 ERA. He's 29. Keep an eye on Casey Mize. Before we go to break, or as we go to break, let's go ahead and get ready to talk to Hayden Nazarenus, the recent SEMO Baseball signee. Talking to Naz next. Welcome back in. Final segment of the SEMO Scramble here on SEMO ESPN Radio, 1220 AM, 93.5 FM, and online, SEMOESPN.com. Happy to be joined now on our phone line, Hayden Nazarenus of the Cape Catfish. They are playing some good baseball. 16-6 record this year, first in their division, and help leading the way. Currently, third in the league in RBIs, 27 ribbies. With a 384 average, 4 home runs, Nazarenus helped leading the way for the Fish. So, Hayden, good morning. How we doing, man?
Morning. We're doing pretty good. How about yourself?
Not too bad. Can't complain. Wasn't a great one last night, Hayden. I do have to admit. So, on a one like that, where things didn't go right as a team, do you just try to quickly forget about it and move on? I mean, what's the goal here today?
A lot of those. Games like that. You're going to have those. You just gotta move on to the next. It's a long season. You got a quick turnaround. You're playing the same team tomorrow, so you got to kind of be a goldfish in that mind. Like in that sense, you just kind of got to forget about them after the game, take the lessons, and then move on.
Absolutely. So yeah, man, you've been swinging it well, having another good summer. What's working for you right now?
Just trying to have a lot more, enjoy the game more, have a lot more fun, try to enjoy, kind of teaching these guys some stuff because we have a pretty young group. And so, just trying to teach those guys and kind of, make them better as players. So it makes, us as a team better.
So you're one of the few returners from last year's team, a part of that Prospect League championship. How much do you number one, fun was that, and the experience that you guys had last year, but also that has helped you be a better player this year?
Yeah, we had a lot of older guys on that group as well, and they were we were pretty tight. I would say we were pretty tight as a group. We hung out quite a bit, and it was just they taught me a lot just because I went through a lot of struggles during that season, especially in the first half when we won. I was, in and out of the lineup and got to kind of watch from, the sidelines, asking them questions and stuff like that. And then, second half rolled around and kind of got on a hot streak. And then it was just fun helping them, kind of helping them through the playoffs and kind of helping us get to that point.
So, obviously, you entered the portal this year and, trying to figure out where a place to play. Well, you found a place to play. You recently signed with SEMO. So, not only are you playing your summer ball at Capitol Hall Field, you're going to be playing during, the school season at Capitol Hall. How about that?
Oh, yeah. I'm super pumped about that. SEMO was there's another guy from back home that ended up playing at SEMO, and I just thought that was, I still look up to him till this day, and he taught me a lot as I was growing up. So SEMO definitely it was definitely like a goal of mine ever since I was little, and, when that opportunity came, then, it was a pretty easy decision for me.
So describe that process a little bit for the listeners. Entering the portal and then trying to work through some teams giving you some love here or there, and then trying to figure out where you want to go. Dealing with trying to play every day too here during the summer, but also trying to work through where am I going to go next year. So talk about that process and how SEMO recruited you.
Yeah, so they whenever it opened on the 1st of June, and I had a couple calls that morning, and it was still kind of slow, and then I knew what I wanted out of the portal. There was other schools, and they were kind of returning. They weren't returning a whole lot, and they were bringing in a lot more guys, which is what I kind of went into at the school I was at before. And it's just kind of like you just kind of go in blind. You don't really know a whole lot of people that they're going to bring in and who you're going to be around every day. And with SEMO, it was just they were returning a lot of guys, and they weren't losing too much, but they were just wanting to add more pieces. And to me, that just seemed, it just sounded like something sounded good just because, they already have, if people are staying, then, they have a good culture. They feel appreciated by the coaching staff, and they do a good job with that. So that was just something, it'd just be easier to fit into. There's already a standard set. They already, there's already a culture, and then, you just have to kind of fall in line. They all know, they all have the same goal in mind.
So a guy from Cooter High School, in the area, obviously from Southeast Missouri, growing up and playing some good baseball, and then obviously, doing it in college at other places, coming back kind of to the area. It's got to be pretty special for you and your family. But also, you were talking to me, a couple of weeks ago about how you're kind of a baseball rat, if you will, a guy that wants to continue to try to learn and get better and wasn't necessarily getting some of that at other places. But is that something you feel like that you can get here at SEMO?
Yeah, Coach Sawyers has been, he's been around, he's been around the country a lot with different schools. I think he coached at Nebraska and stuff like that. So he's been, in those big time schools and knows a lot of stuff. And then, Ezell, the hitting coach at SEMO, I've talked to him for a really long time, throughout high school and then some throughout junior college. And then we've talked baseball some, and he's just like a genius when it comes to that. When you talk to him, the way that he talks about it, he really knows what he's talking about. And I think he knows how to, also connect, with the players as well, like on an individual level. So, I feel like it'll be, I feel like I'll learn a lot from those guys. And I just want to continue to, keep getting better and, kind of be a sponge to those guys as well.
Well, Hayden, we are excited not only for you during this summer for the Cape Catfish, and just good luck to you for the rest of the summer, but also excited to watch you play here at SEMO. So congrats, man. Appreciate the time this morning, and go get you a win today in Marion.
Oh, yeah. Thank you. Thank you, Rusty.
All right. Take care, brother.
I appreciate it.
All right. That is Hayden Nazarenus. Call him Naz, and appreciate him for joining us here on the show this morning. All right, that's going to do it. SEMO Scramble here on SEMO ESPN. Appreciate those tuning in and joining here today. Cory Johnson talking about the legendary coach and Gene Bess, talking things over with Jake Wood of Viva El Birdos, and then Hayden Nazarenus there for the Cape Catfish and new SEMO Baseball signee. So, folks, thanks for joining us. Appreciate all that, the listeners are able to do and support. Please continue to keep tuning in, listening. Give us some feedback if you'd like to listen to, certain guests or topics or things of that nature. That's fine. Give us some feedback how we can improve the show as well. But I wanted to leave you with this. Again, Father's Day on Sunday. I say this a lot, but anytime you have an opportunity, folks, to spend time with family, make memories, create memories, please do. Go do it because you won't regret it. So spend time with your dads. Tell them you love them. Tell them a happy Father's Day on Sunday, and I say that to my father as well. Happy Father's Day, Pop, and we'll see you on Sunday. Looking forward to spending some time with you this weekend. So, folks, enjoy it. Have a great weekend. Till next time, you've been listening to the SEMO Scramble here on SEMO ESPN. Take care, everybody.
You've been listening to the SEMO Scramble on SEMO ESPN. Tune in every Saturday morning from 9 to 10 for a dash of hometown pride and the latest news, scores, and stories that matter most to local sports enthusiasts from the Boot Heel and beyond. Right here on SEMO ESPN 1220 AM, 93.5 FM, the SEMO ESPN app, and SEMOESPN.com.